Come take a trip in my airship. Come take a sail among the stars. Come have a ride around Venus. Come have a spin around Mars. Show us while we're busy. Show us to see while we school. Come take a trip in my airship and we'll visit the man in the moon.
Greetings, loyal airmen, and welcome to another Airship 27 podcast. This one is number 97. Hey, we're quickly getting up there to number 100. But as ever, I'm one of your co-hosts, Captain Ron Fortier, and joining me as ever is Chief Engineer Rob Davis. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing good, and welcome to all you airmen out there. Here we go, number 97. We've been at this a while. We're moving in on 100 real quickly here.
Anyways, I want to say I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. And that's, I want to take a minute to thank all our loyal listeners, okay, who listened to our comeback podcast at this last month.
Yeah.
After a long hiatus, we came back, and folks were really, really kind enough to support us. Episode 95 got well over 100, almost 120, listens, and I think we got to about 85, 90 on episode 96. So again, hey, thanks for your support. And we also got, I got comments from our colleagues and friends and saying, hey, we're glad you guys are back, all right, and we enjoy it, and including the stinking bad jokes and everything else. But yeah, so we're here and we're back again. Ironically, it's probably a segue into what's going to be the heart of this particular episode, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, we've got a couple of normal, regular podcast things to cover, and the first of which is, guess who has the first bad joke of the episode? I do. Oh, this one came out. I took 2 days to find this thing, and
It better be worth it.
I had to paste it immediately and print it out because I didn't want to lose it. All right, so here we go. All right, a 16-year-old boy came home with a brand new Ford 150. His parents took a look at the truck and asked, "Where'd you get that truck?" "I bought it," he says. With what money?" his mother asked. They know what a 150 Ford costs, right? Well, he says, "This one cost me just $15. The father looks at him like he's crazy. Who would sell a brand new Ford 150 truck like that for $15? Well, it was the lady down the street. I don't know what her name is. I mean, they just moved in. She saw me riding by on my bike and asked me if I wanted to buy her truck for $15. Oh my goodness, says the mother. Maybe she's mentally ill or suffering from Alzheimer's or something. She looks at the father. "John, you better go down and see what's going on." So the boy's father walks down the street to the house where the lady lives and finds her out in the yard calmly planting flowers. He introduces himself as the father of the boy to whom she just sold her brand new Ford 150 truck for $15 and asks to know why she did it. "Well," she says, 2 days ago, she says, "my husband left on a business trip. Yesterday, I got a phone call from his boss and find out he really ran off to Hawaii with his secretary and doesn't intend on ever coming back." "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," the father says. "Well, what does it have to do with my son and your truck?" "Well, you see, this morning, my husband called and said he's stranded. He got mugged. All his wallet and credit cards were taken. So he told me to sell the truck and send him the money. So I did."
Yeah, twist that knife.
Oh,
Oh, Let that be a lesson to you, folks.
It's why long jokes are so much fun. All right, if they work.
Where's this going?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it twists and turns and twists and turns. Like, okay, I still what? And the punchline zaps you. All right. She goes, "He asked me to send him the money, and I did."
$15. Yeah. That's a win-win. That's a win for her and a win for the kid.
There you go.
Oh, right. Okay. And on that note,
yeah. Well, let's get into. We put out 2 new books since our last episode, number 96. Rob, why don't you tell our loyal airmen what the first one of those new titles?
All right. Well, the first one is The Book Hunter's Disciple. That's by Barbara Doran. This is Barbara's second book in this Chinese fantasy series. Artist Gary Kato provided all the black and white interior illustrations, and Guy Davis, as he did with the first one in this series, gave us a very fanciful, colorful cover. So I didn't read this one, so I guess you'll need to, if you want to go into details on it, you'll have to fill in the airmen on what the book is all about.
The concept, and again, per her own upbringing and background, cultural background, right? Barbara basically understands all this Chinese magic and fantasy, and supposedly there were magicians or wizards, if you will, all right, who collected books and wrote them, and then once they'd written the books actually contained the magic and became very rare, all right? So that there were people over the centuries who would travel throughout the country looking for these books, i.e. they were book hunters, all right? Trying to find these magic books, i.e. to make sure that, they were either in good hands, and if they weren't, to get them out of the evil wizard's hands and then bring them to the emperor or whatever. And that's her story. It's a story about this one woman book hunter and her apprentice, all right, who is a dragon who morphs into a human being and dragon back and forth, and they travel the country looking for these books. It's a fun series.
What an interesting concept, and something I didn't know anything about Chinese culture, but that sounds fascinating. I may have to actually read this one. Sounds great. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Series. And when we notified Barbara that this one was coming out, she led me to believe there's a final in the trilogy.
And
so hopefully
we can collect those into an omnibus later on, like we've done with our other series.
Yep.
Okay. Which is always fun. Okay, so
now
the next one
we go from the mystery of the Orient to the darkest jungles of Africa with Jungle Tales, Volume 3, featuring Kygor, the Jungle Lord. This volume features stories by Curtis Fernlund, Carson Demmons. Bear with me, Terry Waja Suriaya, and Bob Madison. Please, Terry, I hope I did it halfway decent. Artist John Gallagher did all the interior illustrations at a time when he wasn't all that well himself, going through liver surgery and whatever. And Ted Hammond provided that absolutely stunning and beautiful cover. So this is, again, like I said, the third one in the volume. Kygor is featured prominently in 2 of the stories, which is what we always want to have. But then we have the story of one of the, i.e. big game hunter type story with the hero's name, I think, is Richmond Kane by Bob Madison. And when Curtis, checked us out about wanting to contribute to this, he went and found this character called Jana of the Jungle. So this could conceivably be her debut appearance in this volume as well. So it's good, old-fashioned pulp jungle adventures. And I mean, we're dealing things with crazy baboons who ride lions, all right, and attack villages and whatever. And there's all kinds of weird, bizarre stuff going on. But it's a lot of fun. So check it out if you will. All right. Then what to look forward to?
Yeah, right now, yours truly is doing illustrations for a new Wayne Carey thriller called Falco and Company. It reads like an old episode of Mission Impossible, or it's a heist. It's essentially a heist story of a sort. And Ron Hill is doing the illustrations. That reads like an old episode of Mission Impossible. This is another story. Ron Hill is doing illustrations for a new Altiva Chronicles book from James Teal Glenn, and Sam Salas is doing the illustrations for another Dan Fowler G-Man. So we've got several things in the pipe. Ed Cato, it continues to work the second New Adventures of the Musketeers, the Three Musketeers. So all in all, lots of good stuff on the way. And there's some other things that are also in the queue that aren't quite as far along as these are. But these are the ones that are up coming up pretty soon.
Right. Right. And I did want to mention, because only this past week, both of us were, I know, both delighted in that Clayton Merwin sent us illustration number 8 on Lance Starr, Cold Snap, the Lance Starr novel, Lance Starr and the Sky Rangers by Bobby Nash. So one more illustration from Kerwin and a cover, and that will be ready to fly as well.
Just like we always say, there are no deadlines here, and we also, if an artist or a writer runs into a problem, we say, don't put yourself out too deeply, because that we're not the biggest publisher in the world, so we can't do much to pay you ahead of time. It all comes after the sales. So take your time getting it done, and sometimes that means life intrudes and comes along, and you got to do something else for a while. So, but then all of a sudden, things open up and people start dropping stuff in our lap, and we can go from no books for a month to have 3 all of a sudden. So, as this year testifies to, the first part of the year was busier than heck.
Well, I just mentioned the fact that Gallagher, our British artist doing the illustrations, had started doing the illustrations for Jungle Tales, I think almost a year ago. Mm-hmm. And literally, I got the cover in from Ted Hammond, and, John basically starts working, and all of a sudden, gets really sick, seriously sick, ends up in the hospital. And suddenly we're getting messages about, he might not make it. And so, that's life getting in the way.
Life gets in the way sometimes. Yeah.
And honestly, all right, Rob and I, wished him all the best, and send our prayers and good thoughts and everything else, keeping, that at the forefront of this as the year went by. And ultimately we started, he recovered, he got better, thank you, God, and started doing illustrations again when he could, when he had the strength, had the drive. And bless his soul, he finished a book. He finished a book for us. All right. So it's one of those kind of things, like I say, and I keep tabs with him, and as I try to do with all our Airship 27 creators, especially those I know who've had a rough go of it lately. All right. And that, I think, is probably the best segue we can go to the heart of what I tease folks when announcing this podcast. All right. I.e. the future of Airship 27. All right. And what I've got written here, and this will be a platform for us to talk, but as much as there are topics we just as soon keep putting off, the truth is there will come a day when we close up operations. Rather than let that happen unexpectedly, we thought it best to come up with a plan, and that's what we want to discuss here. Okay, look, we've met. If you follow the show and if you're part of the New Pulp community, then you already know that, like, in the last 5-6 years, we've lost some dear friends, some colleagues, all right? A lot of them even younger than Rob and I, for one reason or another, all right?
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts every time it happens, all right?
Yep.
But it's life, and it's where it's what it's about. That being the case, not being totally, clueless of seeing the results of what happens when creators unexpectedly pass away. not so much by age, but a sudden heart attack. Mark Justice recently, Norma Kay's husband, all right, all those years ago. Just one day you're here, the next day you're gone. And poor Norma
lightning
Kay,
strikes.
and Norma Kay is left with a garage full of books and toys and comics and everything else, and without a clue where's that supposed to go, what's it worth, et cetera, et cetera. Now that's a personal kind of level thing, okay? Try to understand, since starting Airship 27, Rob and I ad hoc, on the job training, if you will, basically learned how to make this operation work, i.e., what I do here in Colorado, which is basically bring in submissions, figure out which ones we're going to publish, which ones will not, which anthologies, novels, and read through every one of them, all right? And then figure out where illustrations are going to go, et cetera, et cetera. And once I've done all of that, it's off to Rob. And Rob, if he's not doing the illustrations on the book, is working with the artist. And all these artists are sending Rob all these different illustrations multiple times at different books, and he's juggling this. Okay, where does this piece of artwork go? Every now and then, we ask our artists, label your illustrations, okay?
Please.
And sometimes,
tell me which book it's from.
Sometimes
don't just put illustration number 3.
Right, I did. Rob going, beautiful piece of art. Where's it go? Tell me where it goes.
Because I have up to 5 books at once that I'm juggling parts for, and I can't. This, as the old saying goes, when you start losing hair up here, that's because it's growing in and interfering with all the thoughts in your head, because you can't keep it all straight. That's a joke, folks. Right. But I can't keep it all straight. My brain doesn't work that way. I can't keep. Ron's a little better at it than I am, but I have to keep notes. And here's the problem: I'll start notes, and then like we were talking earlier, I've got notes on all these books that are in the queue, and then suddenly one comes from out of the blue. I don't have anything on that one. So what happens? It starts confusing things. And I get six books, 7 books, and I'm really lost as to what goes where. Yeah, so I have to start either asking Ron, or I go back to the updates that say who's working in each book. So I have to do detective work to figure out where it is. And I've spent 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes that I could have been doing something more productive if you had labeled them properly in the first place. It's not a huge amount of time, but if you do that for 7 books, there's some time wasted there. So right. It's much quicker and easier if it's labeled, so I know where to put it. Because I have a system I have a hard drive that I put an external hard drive I put everything on, and it's backed up twice. I back it up twice in case it falls apart. If I have a hard drive go down on me, and God forbid 2 of them go down, hopefully the 3rd one won't go as well. But so I double back up everything, but it's in there a certain way, and having the labels, then I can go in and just drop it in the right folder and move on to the next thing. That makes it much easier for me. Otherwise, I have to do detective work. So anyway, but yeah.
Well, yeah. So look,
that takes me to the next step. Is I know how all that works. I keeled over from a heart attack tomorrow. My wife, Teresa, wouldn't know where to find any of this stuff. My son, Ryan, wouldn't know where to find any of this stuff. Nobody in my family would know what this is all about. Somebody would have to start digging through all this. Then there's all the stuff at Amazon where I upload everything to go to Amazon with.
Okay, so let's that's the next step in this. We have to clarify this, because the truth of the matter is, and I just want to add this, what we were talking about, I have a to-do list that I keep religiously. Every time a new story goes in, I post that it's there, okay? Because I'll forget it. If I don't work on it that day, 2 weeks later, I'll forgot I got it in, okay?
Right.
So, yeah, okay, and that's the way we both, we do that to the best of our ability. But what you just said is the fact that we each have our jobs, we each have our goals of how we do what we do together, and it works. But months ago, Valerie and I were having our morning walk. We'd had our coffee and we were out walking, and we got to talking about that, right? And I said, I says, I keep thinking about how much longer we can keep doing this. So she just looked at me and said, well, she goes, if anything happened to Rob, right? I said, well, that'd be the end of Airship 27, pretty much, because there's no way I could get that out. There's no way I could figure out where it was, whatever. And I couldn't put it together. I can't do what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she goes, right. And she goes, if you drop dead tomorrow, I said, Rob would shut it down because Rob can't come here and get into my PC. He doesn't know what stories I've got here, there.
All I could finish up was what I have already in the queue. What I already have most of the parts for. I could probably put together whatever's left in my hard drive that's got at least most of the parts. I can get a hold of other people and maybe finish those up. But then I'm lost. If anything else that was in the queue is done.
So here we go. So let's make this, with data and numbers, okay? Because I want people to understand what we're talking about here, okay? Right now we're having a banner year, right? We're past, I think, 24 books now for the year, right? And we're going to get up to 27, 28, maybe for December.
Maybe it'll depend. But yeah, there's that many in the queue that are almost done. Yeah.
Right. So again, awesome year. Now, that's what we're getting out. All right. Now, before we came on air, I figured, you know what? I got to do this. It'll take me a second. So I got into my files, my to-do files. All right. Really quick. Listen to this now. At present, we have 8 completed anthologies, which means each of those books has 4 stories by 4 different writers. Okay. Mm-hmm. We have 8 of those finished, but no art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We've got 9 novels finished, but no art. Okay.
Right.
All right. Now, those are just the finished ones. And then add to that, we have 14 anthologies in production that have 1 story, 2 stories, 3 not completed. What am I talking? The total here is, in a year, we're putting out over 24 books. I've got 31 in the queue. And,
if we stop taking that stuff in this moment, we'd have that many more books to do.
Right. And this is what this is about, folks. Okay, so now you get it. All right. And I don't think that counts all that accurate. There may be other books I didn't find. I just put that together in like 5 minutes before we're going to record. So okay, so the realization comes that we need an exit strategy that works for us and all our wonderful creators. All right, that the books that we do have, the books that are in progress, we will get to finish, God willing. We stay healthy the next couple of years, and they see their books published. All right. Here's a rough outline. This is like our first. Things change, life changes, but this is the idea going forward. All right. Come January the 1st, because my birthday is November 5th, and I'm going to be 78 in November. Okay. So here we go. January the 1st. Of 2025, we will continue as we're going. We will allow people to send us submissions for whatever, for our anthologies, the series we do, new novels. We'll look at new writers. We'll do all of that to the end of 2025. And that's the notice we're giving all of you. If you have something you want us to work on, is there some book you want to get out? Paul Landry came charging, I've got a couple sequels. Oh my God. Well, look, get them to us. Yeah. Get them to us, okay? Come the end of 2025, we will shut down submissions.
Yeah.
Okay? To the point where going forward into 1926, all right, will be to clean up the inventory. All right, now we get this, okay? Now, try to understand. I can hear people saying, well, does that mean everything and blah, blah, blah? Okay. There will be times when we can fudge, all right?
Yeah.
Ian Watson's already said, I can't believe you're not going to let Sherlock Holmes go. And Rob and I thought about it, and by far, it's the best-selling thing we've ever done. We never have problems putting it together. Rob does the illustrations. Sherlock Holmes may stick around, but here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen after 2026, when ironically, right, talk about numbers, when we hit 2027, right, for all intents and purposes, Airship 27 is going to exist to get Sherlock Holmes books out, whatever, consulting detective, as long as we can do it and we have people contributing. Okay. Whatever books Ron writes and puts together, my Brother Bones series, Captain Hazards, or whatever. Okay.
Right.
On the comic end of all that, Rob's still going to be doing Redbud Studios.
Yep.
But Redbud Studios is already now pretty much what he and I do comic-wise and want to do together or with other creators. And that'll be the same policy for what Airship 27 is. It won't be completely gone, all right? But it'll be probably like a vanity press for hopefully whatever, I still want certain books that I have to write, that I want to write. Again, good Lord gives me time to sit down and stay creative, that I'll get written, all right? But as of like I said, as of 2026, we're not accepting new submissions. And you've all been told. Now, could that ever change? Hey, again, like I said, I can't predict the future. I mean, between now and then, one of you out there listening to this could hit Rob and I up at a con and basically start telling us about this book you have.
We are unfortunately easy touches.
We
are. If you come to us with a really great idea, we're gonna agonize over it. But if it really tickles our fancy, we will probably say yes.
Right.
But we can't promise that. That's the thing.
No.
Before, if you brought us a good idea, we could say, yeah, we'll do it. But now I just turned 70. I'm 8 years behind Ron, but I just turned 70. He and I both battled cancer and won, but we ain't spring anymore. And things, I'm starting to slow down a little bit. Ron slowed down a little bit, and that's gonna continue to happen. So all good things, all things must pass, as George Harrison said, and all good things come to an end. But and we will probably still be doing things like you said. The Sherlock Holmes. If somebody brings us a great novel, Sherlock Holmes, we may do that too. It's just we're not going to kill ourselves trying to get out 24 books anymore. We're not going to try to do 18 to 24 books each year. We're going to do what's comfortable for us. So, and if you bring us something that fits in that, we'll do it. But as I said, and in the meantime, I'm going to have to sit down and for my heirs, for my kids and my wife, sit down and write down how to access all this stuff. So when I do pass, God, please make it quite a ways away yet. Then they can actually go through and we can pull out this. This is where all this stuff is. We'll know how to deal with it. So I need to. That's one of the things I need to do, and I've been thinking about doing that for quite a while. But this year has just been book after book after book. So I've had no time to do any of that. So it will help me get closer to that goal as well. So we just need to slow down a little, and this is a good way to think about it. And
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, like I said, going forward, we wrap up this year. We go into 2025, and it is a normal year. Okay. Remember now, I've got 31 books here, folks. Okay. We get into 2025. Who knows how many you're going to send my way? All right. But you can. Okay. 2025 is going to be an open door as far as submissions are concerned, especially if you worked with us in the past. If we've done the book, you have a sequel, a third. I mean, Nancy Hansen, her Jezebel Johnson series. I don't want to just cut that off at the knees. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Start giving some thought to how you're going to wrap up those series. Okay, just give that some thought a little bit. All right, because again, come 2026, it's clean house year. 2026 is we get really serious about cleaning out the inventory. Whatever's left.
If it takes longer than the whole year of 2026, it
So
might.
what?
It might take longer than that. But
That's
we're gonna
why
whatever's in house at that point ready, that we will get that out the door. It may take more than all of 2026 to get it all out the door. Might work into 27. Plus anything,
the door will be
any of the
closed.
projects Ron and I want to do, we'll
So it won't
shoehorn
be
those in.
like this, right? The inventory will keep going down till it's gone, and then when it's gone, like I said, we can both take a sigh of relief knowing that we have done right by all our creators. All right, that we did what we set out to do. I mean, this has been a glorious adventure for us. We have loved every bit of it. All right, even his frustrations, even banging our heads against the wall sometimes. All right, but I'm damn proud with every single book we've put out, and we've worked with such amazing, incredible creators. So I look forward to the next couple of years to continue that. All right,
Yeah,
that's the exit strategy, people. We've come up with one I think is fair. I think it's logical. And again, like I said, the good Lord willing to give us another couple of years, we'll get it done.
Yep.
All right. There you go.
Crossed.
And please, send all your hate mail to Rob.
I have it. Let's see. I have it right here is where it'll go.
And now you have a chance to get back at me for that with your bad. Here we go.
All right. Well, strangely enough, my wife she enjoys us doing this, and she looks for jokes for me, and she found 2 of them. So I'm gonna go with this one. Kind of. All right, here we go. Chicken crossing. Farmer Jack once lived on a quiet rural highway, but as time went by, the traffic slowly built up and eventually got so heavy and so fast that his free-range chickens were being run over at a rate of 3 or 4 a week. So Jack called the local police station to complain. "You've got to do something about all these people driving so fast and killing all my chickens," he said to the local police officer. "What do you want me to do?" asked the policeman. "I don't care. Just do something about these crazy drivers." So the next day, the policeman had the council erect a sign that said, "School crossing." 3 days later, Farmer Jack called the policeman and said, "You still got to do something about these drivers. That sign didn't work." A couple of days later, Farmer Jack called and said, "Your signs are no good. Can I put up my own sign?" The officer said, "Sure, put up your own sign." Phone calls to the police station stopped. But curiosity got the better of the officer, so he called Jack. "How's the problem with the speeding drivers? Did you put up your sign?" "Oh, I sure did, and not one chicken has been killed." The policeman was really curious, and he thought he'd better go out and take a look at the sign. So he drove out to Farmer Jack's house. His jaw dropped the moment he saw the sign. "Nudist colony. Slow down and watch for chicks."
Oh,
Slow down and watch for chicks.
all right. There you go. Oh, the farmers, an A student in psychology. That works every time. I love it. That's awesome. All right. Hey, Lerman, there you go. About 45 minutes into this episode, which I think is fine for, just a few books we had and covering the subject we had to cover.
Yeah.
So,
and, and we will still be doing these from now till whenever. So we would stay with us. We'll keep you updated on what's happening and see any changes in that plan. We'll let you know.
Right here, definitely.
Yeah. So just hang with us. Come by with us the next time we put one of these out, and we'll we'll update you on what's happening in the hangar.
There you go. Totally. All right. Sign this off, amigo.
All right. Well, this is Chief Engineer Rob Davis signing off.
And as ever, Captain Ron gets to say, down ship.